humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. My videos are about love, infinity, creation, energy, because this is who we are: infinite love, infinite energy, infinite creation. So I'm talking about heritage and legacy. Pantheon is one of the exercises, and I'm explaining to you my statutes, my leaders, my defenders, the ones that I chose and I decided to put on my list, because we all have the ability to do this ourselves. So it's an exercise, it's beautiful, but I'm explaining why I chose these humans, these compasses, these sundials. So let's talk about it. I was talking about Alan Turing, which is on my list. It's an incredible human being, an incredible inventor, an incredible creator. The modern day computer in a big way came as a result of his contribution, what he's done. So, and a lot of the notions that we essentially based our lives around today, technology-wise, with computing and all that, has to do with his contribution. With his contribution and his vision and his creation and what he's done. And all the other things that he's done as well, that are not necessarily connected to, they all impacted by the computer, let's put it in that way. So, and the way I see it is, to me, he's the greatest inventor of all time because of the computer. Because he was the one that really cracked the code and put it together in a way that no one ever did, and the mainframe and such, and all these different things that led to this world where we live in. That's just the beginning of it, because we don't know where computers are gonna take us. He was the one. He was the one that really clicked things together, that made it happen. This mathematical genius. He was an incredible mind. And if there's a human that has contributed something that is fully immeasurable, is him, because we will never really know the impact of his contribution, because it's hard to measure, because the impact of computing, we are at the very early stages of them, and look at what they've achieved already, and computers will always be part of the human race from now on. So just imagine, hey, being that, the person that did that. Hey, well, that's Alan Turing, everybody. Alan Turing is the man that put everything together in the end. He was the one that put everything together in the end, in the way that we know it as today. Alan Turing is I think there is a prize and award as well, just like the Mark Twain Prize and Award. I think there's also the Alan Turing Award or prize, because it's, and the price of that is a prize for like genius and creation, invention, because of what he's done. He's just incredible. Like, his contribution is unique, is powerful, and it has to do with the fact that he believed in infinity himself. He was a mathematician and he loved geometry, and in fact, the reason why he was able to crack the code and did what he did with computing was because of his geometrical mind space. Like, he was spatial. His thinking was spatial. It was geometric, because he was obsessed with the sphere, like I am. He was obsessed. All his drawings, his geometrical analysis was geometric and spherical in nature. His computational thinking was always geometric, and the geometry was spherical. You look at his contribution, always spherical. There's drawings of Alan Turing, the museums and all that, and his contribution. You look at them, all his figures, everything is geometric, and everything is spherical. Full circle, you see, infinity. That's why he came up with the computer in the first place, the answer to it. He put it all together, the mainframe. It was a primitive computer, obviously, but he was the one that really make it happen. In the end, all the people that came before him, that did all the work that they did for him to just, because of his computational thinking, his genius, his mathematics were just off the chart at the time. Like, he was just like, the work that he did, you had teams of humans, 20 humans doing the math and stuff, and he himself would just outsmart them all. Because he was geometric in thinking, he was spherical thinking. His drawings, his geometry was all spherical, because he understood infinity. That's why he was able to map it out and take computing from an abstract idea into like tangible creation with actual circuitry and what we know it of it at the time. Primitive in the way, but hey, computed in the end. Look where it led us. The Turing test, all these Turing awards, all these things that we have today to honor this man and his contribution. That, as I say, I don't believe we would ever be able to truly measure his contribution because of what he's done. Because of what he's done. And he's just a remarkable human being. Remarkable. Imagine the internet, computers, really, the level of productivity and stuff that we have achieved today. It's all because of him. Right? Genius. Absolute genius. That's pure genius. Like seriously, creation at its true self manifested, eh? That man is just like genius. Alan Turing, my favorite human, eh? And he was also funny. He was a funny type. He was, we all human, we all have our ways, but he believed in infinity, in humor. He was also very righteous, and he had a strong. His wisdom was, he smart man. Learn about him. He's beautiful. Okay, that was Alan Turing. Okay, so now I have Carl Jung. Carl Jung is this Swiss man. He was a psychiatrist, a psychoanalyst, I think, some sort of psychotherapist, psychologist. I don't know what he really was in the end. He was a mind man. He was a mind man. Man of the mind. So, very intelligent. He was the one that developed the concept of the shadow that I talk about all the time. The shadow, he was the one. He was the one. He designed it. He came up with it. He was the one that understood the unconscious mind like no one else did before him. And he understood our urges and things, the value of repression and suppression and all this shadow stuff, all this negativity, these fantasies, these illusions. He was the one. He was the one that came up with the formulas and his impact, and again, led us to this world. His contribution is hard to, when it comes to the mind and what the mind is and all these different things in modern times, no one has ever been a greater contributor than Carl Jung. Carl Jung's impact has shaped the world the way we know it because of the unconscious mind and the understanding of the shadow, which is what allows us to become self-aware and conscious enough to understand our nature, which is light spherical beings in the first place, because of Carl Jung's contribution, because of his work. So Carl Jung is a true genius. This man, a genius. Really, really, really smart man. And that's why he's on my list. Then I have Socrates. It's on the list. Socrates is this fella. He was a smart man, very smart, very smart. He was a simple man, very hummus. He was a compass, he was a sundial himself. He really understood human nature and the urges of the human condition. And deep thinker, mathematical mind, geometric mind. He was just, he was the mentor of Plato. Let's put it that way. Plato, which is on my list too. He was the mentor of Plato. He was Plato's teacher, professor. So this man, Socrates, he was the one that came up with that idea that the more you learn, the less you know. That's my words, but he said it. I think the only thing that I know is that I know nothing. Something like that, he said. Humility, from a guy like Socrates, come on. So we're talking about Socrates here. Without Socrates, there is no Plato. Without Plato, there is no Aristotle. Without Aristotle, there is no Alexander. Without Alexander, there is no Leonidas. Sorry, that sequence is like that. It's something like there. And then no Marcus Aurelius, no modern world. So this is the person that we're talking about here. We're talking about Socrates, this guy. Big thinker. He believed in love, he believed in purpose, he believed in freedom of expression, freedom, academic freedom. He believed in like expressing the free will. He believed in all these, at the time, radical notions. He defied everything. He asked why to everything. Why? And this whole notion that we have today, which is the Socratic method. I'm Socratic in thinking because of that, because of the why, because that's what a Socratic method is questioning everything. You question everything, and the best way to question is with why, because it's the root cause, it's infinity itself. So it's all about that. So Socrates was this mind, a super mind, a mega mind. He is just a genius, total genius. Everyone on this list, they're all geniuses. All of them. But this man, for the times, probably the smartest man alive at the time. And what he did, all the things that he's done, know thyself, all these ideas, that's Socratic ideas. Why? All this is all him. All this stuff is him. This is him. This guy is just the guy. There's a guy that you choose, is him when it comes to philosophy and understanding the mind, and it's him because of the Socratic method, because of asking why, questioning everything, reason, logic. It's him. Great thinker. Imagine how amazing he was, that his inquisitive mind, his inquiring mind, was the one that ignited Plato to do what he did, and then Plato ignited Aristotle, and Aristotle ignited Alexander. See, it's this chain of events. It's all these chains of events. So this is who Socrates was. Socrates was an incredible mind, powerful individual, and that's why he's on my list. Great Greek. I love Greek. So then I got someone else on my list here, very special, Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc is on my list because of what that young lady represents and what she did. What she did was just remarkable. She was a teenager, It's the only teenager on my list. She was a teenager. She was like 13 or something, 14, 15. She was a child, really, in a tough time. We're talking tough as it gets. And she was there. She came from that time. Tough time. But she came from that time, hey. That's where she came from. Tough time. Tough cookie. Very tough cookie. And very smart. Very genius. And she listened to her heart. She followed her inner voice. She followed her heart. And achieved the unthinkable. She said, this is what she said. All battles are first fought in the mind. And then she won a lot of battles. She did a lot. You see, everything that you put your mind to, then that's what it is. And then that's what she did. Hey, she fought. And then she did lots. And she was amazing. If you don't know who Joan of Arc is, I encourage you to learn about her. Because then again, she understood what the human mind was. And a vision and a dream coming true. She had revelations of all sorts because of it, because she believed in herself, the true self, and she was guided by it, and she achieved remarkable things. What she did is unique for the time, for the age, for what she's done. It's just, then again, the world in a big way is what it is today because of what she's done. She did things that changed things forever, and because of her contribution, that's why she's on the list. She's all fights are first win or lost in the mind. That's what she said. You see, your belief, your mindset. She was the first motivator that I know of. She was like the original, like, I mean, Aristotle was all about life and happiness, but like a proper motivator like that, like talking about that, the mindset and stuff. Joan of Arc. She was the original one. Very beautiful soul. Beautiful, beautiful who she was. She is what she represents. Okay, so then we got Plato. Plato, the Platonic solids, the Republic, all this stuff that he's done. This man, genius. But I think Plato's greatest contribution is the Platonic solids. It's a mathematical thing. It's geometry. Star tetrahedron. It led to infinity. The sphere. All these different things. He was a genius. Plato was a genius, and his greatest contribution was mathematical. The Platonic solids, these 5 figures, and it led to the world we live in today. So Plato was a genius, absolute, total genius, because of his work, because of what he's done, because of his convictions. Know thyself, all these different concepts that he had. Learning about yourself, understanding the value of your contribution, your place in society, whether you're productive or you're not. All these notions. He spoke about all sorts. He formulated logic and reason. He did a lot of work. That Aristotle developed, and then many others after him. And Socrates started the foundation, and many people before. But you see, it's all about the predecessors. I speak about it. This is why this is heritage and legacy, because his predecessors and successors. It's the human story. So wonderful man, Plato. Plato was a great contributor, a great leader, a great defender. This is who Plato was. And then again, the world would, they always say that the world is everything was said by Plato. That's like very common. If you're a philosopher in that world, it's a very common kind of like saying, like everything was said by Plato already. So because of who he was, what he did. So, all these ideas that he had about, all this, is just learn about Plato. I would encourage you to learn about Plato. And then the next one is Euclid. Euclid is this genius, this mathematical mind. Again, is a geometry man. You see, the Greek conceived mathematics differently as we do. We are about like numbers, ones and zeros and things, measurement of that type of, we are very rudimentary with our mathematics, really. When it comes to schooling and stuff, we're teaching a way, it works, and there's value in it. Of course there is. It's counting and things. But it's not like spherical in nature. It's not like genius level thinking. It's more like doer rather than a creator. So Euclid was this. The Euclidean mathematics is geometry. It's understanding numbers and creation through geometry. Each number is assigned a value in geometric terms, rather than like what we do in numerical terms, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, which is also geometric, and we understand this. And later on at school, they do teach you geometry. But the thing with Euclidean mathematics is that it starts with geometry as the foundation, rather than new numbers, and then geometry as a small component, as a small branch of mathematics, which is wrong. It's the opposite, actually. That's why Euclid is on the list, because it starts with geometry, with objects, with creation itself, observable stuff, solids, right? Like Plato and stuff. It's because of it. And that's why Alan Turing did what he did, because he believed in geometry and spheres. And that's why Plato did what he did, because he believed in spheres and geometry. Euclid did what he did because he believed in spheres and geometry. And then the same with Leo. Leo also believed in spheres and geometry. And they were all geniuses. Nikola Tesla, again, spheres and geometry. All these great minds that are on my list, they're all mathematical geniuses, are because they all thought of the world in a geometric way, not a numerical way. Because numbers come out of geometry, not the way around. Because reality is geometric, not numerical. You see, I'm not a number. I'm geometry. I'm a shape. So that's how you ought to think about it instead. And that's what Euclid did. So when he taught his pupils and the whole of Greece, Athens and all that, whatever he was from, I don't remember the specific place. He might not even be Greek, actually. He went to Greece because of, it was the thing to do at the time. He was around the area if he wasn't Greek. So I think he wasn't Greek, actually. I think he was something else. But then again, his contribution was mathematical and influenced the ancient world, Greece, and all the things because of Euclidean mathematics. Geometry. Understanding reality through solids and geometry and volume rather than this abstract notion of measurement and counting, which is very Roman metric system and all that. It's what the Romans did, which is the opposite of, hypergeometry, which is what we're supposed to do, because that would naturally lead to numbers as a byproduct. Because numbers, they're not conductive to geometry. Like if you start with numbers, the geometry is not a byproduct of numbers. So you can count all day and you will never think of figures and objects and it's when you start to change your mindset and vectorize things. When you vector things and you start to add shape and volume and space, then that's when numbers, they evolve into geometry, because it's the way around, you see, because numbers are a byproduct of geometry, not the way around, because things are physical objects. This is what we are. Spherical nature is infinity spherical. I speak about this all the time. So it's because of it. So the Romans went the other way. They took geometry out of things and they started measuring things, and this is the world where we live in. Rules and stuff. But then in reality, the Greek were the opposite. The Greek were, it's all shapes. They were artists. It's all about shapes. It's all about figures. So solids and things. So that's why they came up with democracy and purpose and all these different ideas, because of the genius of full circle spherical concepts. Complete information, full ideas, because of it. So then again, that's what Euclid was. He formulated that. He formulated the curriculum at the time, the pensum, how people went about it mathematically and how everyone learned. And we learned with shapes at the time and geometry, and then that led to this creation of. And then when you think in terms of figures again, then that axiomatically, meaning as a result of it. The end state is numbers, because that's how we measure things in the end. Like if you want to count and measure, you use numbers to calculate. But the number emerges from the figure, from the geometry, not the way around. The number doesn't generate geometry. It's the geometry that generates number as a byproduct. And this is what Euclidean mathematics is. And this is why he's on my list, because I wouldn't know the things that I know if it wasn't because of Euclid. So, simple as that. Then, the other one on my list, got 2 more to go. See, a long list. But, and again, it's powerful because they're all mathematical geniuses, these fellas here. It's powerful. And I came up with the book, Fantasies and Illusions, Compass, The Quest for Free Will, in a big way, because of the fellas on this list. Everyone. The men and women on the list. So then again, so my second last member is a modern figure. His name is Tefara Rahi. Tefara Rahi was this Maori man. He was a warrior, Rangatira, I think it's called. A chief. It's a chief of a tribe. He was a powerful figure, very powerful man. He represented a lot. He did a lot. He was a diplomat. He was a leader. He was a philosopher. He was a warrior. He was a father. He was a man, a family man. He did a lot of things. He's quite recent from Maori history. So he, just to give you an example of something that he's done, which is quite remarkable actually, is that New Zealand has its Bill of Rights, and a lot of its culture has to do with Waitangi and the Treaty of Waitangi, and what that means is like the almost like it's understood as the independent, like almost like the foundational document of New Zealand, like the Constitution. It's not quite a constitution, but it's like what formed New Zealand into what it is today. This beautiful country. So if you understand this fella, Te Whararahi, look at what he's done. He's the only person that's done this. I think there's 2 or 3 more that did it, but he was a total visionary. He understood concepts at a deep level at the time. He was a wise man, very wise man. He was the original signatory of the Declaration of Independence of New Zealand before Waitangi and all these concepts that came after, these dates and all these important historical events. He was the original signatory of the Declaration of Independence of New Zealand. This man, you see, just like George Washington, just like Simon Bolivar and all these great statespeople, he did that for New Zealand, eh? He did that, and that man was like, for modern standards, he was like a savage and stuff, eh? And no savage day at all, genius, total genius, mastermind, eh? In communication, diplomatic communication with the King of England, the mightiest empire that ever lived, ever existed, the British Empire. And he spoke with him, with the king at the time, and say, hey, and the guy was mad, genius, he understood there were French around, there were Americans around, there were all these different Dutch around, all these people around, and he saw that, no, the British are the smartest ones, that the most powerful ones. So that's not the ones that we got to engage with. You see, genius, And then he said, look, I am like you, a sovereign. I'm a chief here. You are your chief over there. This is our land, and I want freedom and stuff for my land, for my people. And I want you to acknowledge me. That's what he said on his letter. Acknowledge me, sir. Acknowledge me because I respect you for who you are. So acknowledge me and respect me for who I am. And the king replied, to the surprise of everybody. The King of England, the most powerful man in the world, the British Empire, actually replied to this man and said, you know what? I actually acknowledge you. I acknowledge your independence. I accept your freedoms. I accept your rights, the claims to your land. So this man created this document, the Whararahi. Yeah, it's on my list because the guy's total badass. So he did that, and he wasn't old. He was young, He was young when he did that. He wasn't old at all. He was a young man. He was kind of young, He wasn't like an old man. He was youngish. So imagine, at the time he managed to do that, And that document, the Declaration of Independence of the Maori people, just how beautiful. He did that, and a few other, but he was the mastermind. He was like the rangatira. He was the chief. He was the leader, He was the one, the example, the one making sure that the document was done. He was like the power broker, because he spoke with the Englishmen that were there in representation of the king. He understood diplomacy, and he understood who the ones were that were going to make sure that they would give the message to the king. He was the one that was the genius, absolute genius. And he did that. That man did that. But that's not the only thing that he did. You see, he did that, and that document led to many other things as a result of that after. So it led to Waitangi, which is the Waitangi Treaty, which is this treaty that came years after, 20 or 30 years after. You see, he was already an old man when Waitangi Treaty came around, but he was still around, and he's, I think, the only one that signed both the Declaration of Independence and Waitangi, which is this document that kind of made New Zealand part of the British Empire. But based on the Declaration of Independence and what that signaled at the time and what ushered, they're respecting the lands and all that, which is a big part of what New Zealand is today. It's a beautiful country, and it's an amazing place. And the reason why it's the way it is because of this man. Believe it or not. I know there's a lot of pride and things, other people and stuff. There's a lot of important people. But this man was the one that connected the dots. He connected the dots. He started it all with the Declaration of Independence with a few other chiefs and Rangatira at the time. And he was the genius behind it, pushing the agenda, making sure that the purpose was achieved. And then that led years after that, after a lot of eventualities, to the Waitangi Treaty. And then New Zealand is what it is today, this beautiful, great country, prosperous, with a bright future ahead of it. So then again, it was this man, and he signed both documents. You see, he saw full circle, He started it all, and he finished it all. He finished it, He finished the job in the end. He made sure that the people were protected, the lands were secured, and a lot of things happened, a lot of shenanigans happened after that and stuff. But I'm not talking about them things. I'm talking about what he's done. Amazing. And this man is close to me as well because my son, he's connected to him, bloodlines. So you see, that's how I learned about this man. Otherwise, I wouldn't know who he was. It was because I learned, it's a concept of whakapapa, which is your bloodline, your heritage, your ancestry, in the Maori terminology. And my son, through his mother, has a connection to this very important figure of New Zealand history. So that's why I know about this man, and that's why he's on the list, because his family, His family, Te Whararahi, his family. So then again, it's beautiful, and that's why that man is on my list, because he's a warrior. He's a true warrior, and I love him a lot because of what he's done for this country and for these people and for my son. So okay, so that's him. So let's talk about the last one on my list. The last one on my list is Archimedes, another mathematician, another genius. He's the one that came up with this notion of leverage, fulcrum, this notion, mathematical mastermind. He was Italian, I think, or some way over there in the Mediterranean, around the same times. You see, ancient times. I think he was a contemporary of Euclid. I'm not too sure. I might be wrong about this. So he was a mathematician, a genius, understood mathematics from a geometric point of view. He detested measurement in the way of rules and stuff. He thought that was wrong. He was very opinionated about it. He didn't like it because he's right. He's right. So, but he understood leverage. The pulley, as we know it, this mechanism that empowers civilization, made civilization what it is today, the lever, the fulcrum, all these concepts, all these motions, the wheel, all these ideas that give you leverage, it was Archimedes. That was him. Mathematical mastermind, mechanical as he gets, purposeful mind, geometric thinker. That's who Archimedes was. And he lived in tough times, tough times. He was a great inventor, great mathematician, great inventor. That's who Archimedes was. Absolute genius. So that's why he's on my list, because of leverage. And that's why Waiho is fulcrum. Waiho is leverage. It's absolutely that. It's lever, it's a pulley. That's what it is. It's a mechanism Compass, as we know, that does that. It allows us to become who we are, infinite eternal creators, light spherical beings, sundials, because of what it does. Puts everything together into one mechanism, a lever, a fulcrum, a pulley that generates the leverage required for us to know who we are, our benevolence, our love. So this is who this man was, Archimedes, and that's why he's on my list, because compass in a big way has to do with him. Because compass, why, how is that? It's a lever, it's a fulcrum, it's leverage. That's my list, and you see, it's a little bit of me. You're learning about me and how I think and I go about things, and these are the reasons why these humans are on my list. And I hope you see that, learn a little bit more about me and why I am the way I am, and the people who have influence in my life. These great humans, these great creators, these great contributors, these leaders, these defenders. So I hope you see that and understand it. Okay, I love you very much, and remember who we are. We're light spherical beings. This is who we are. We are creators. We're infinite eternal creators. We're sundials. We're compass. This is who we are. This is our nature. I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. Remember who we are. We're leaders and defenders of the Republic of Planet Earth. We're the citizens of the Republic of Planet Earth. We're the citizenry of the Republic of Planet Earth. This is who we are. I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. Love you all.